year overall at DePaul. It's 2 different stints. He's won 96 games as their head coach. The starting lineups, we mentioned it. There will be no Shamori Pons, so that means that Brian Trimble will start, but as Jim said, Justin Simon will get
up against some of the guys on DePaul who have a few guys that are 6'9" or so, rebound the ball pretty well.
Well, Nathan Farrell is the referee. He's heading towards center court, and we are underway from Carnesecca Arena, and DePaul will control the tip. Devin Gage, who was supposed to cover Pons defensively, will run the point for DePaul, and we'll keep an eye on Strus. He goes right down low to Alujabi, and Alujabi converts on the first bucket of the game.
I have to believe, Tom, that DePaul is coming in here to this game on a little bit of a high without Pons there. If I'm Dave Latel, I would have spoken to these guys before the game. Don't take anything for granted, but this is a game that we can win without Pons on this floor.
I think the other thing, too, is he's trying to find that signature win as Trimble's three is off the mark. And Reed, who is ever evolving for DePaul, gets the rebounds. I asked Dave today, I said, how important is this win just to convince your team that you are this good? He said, well, I don't put a whole lot of emphasis on it, but it is a big game.
And I think they're trying initially to get the ball in the blocks, as we've seen 2 straight times.
Yeah, Alujabi, who's the transfer from North Carolina A&T, is a local kid, 3-pointer, and St. John's will shoot a lot of threes, no good. Strus with the rebound.
One of the things they will do when they shoot the basketball, they'll get back in transition. St. John's does not really go after the offensive glass that much at all.
Yeah, they average 7.3 offensive rebounds per game. That's 340th in college basketball. The turnaround by Reed is no good, and he knocks it out of bounds. All right, Jim, let's take a look at your keys to the game and see how they may have changed without Pons.
Well, one of the things, with DePaul has to go out. You just touched on it, Tom, right? Defend the threes, and I think that St. John's, it's a simple concept in basketball, but you better rebound by committee in terms of going after, because one of the things on the defensive glass is they look for deflection. St. John's does. They look to push the basketball, and rebounding is one of their keys to get that going.
I think it's amazing they have 3 players in the lineup tonight. Now, this is not with Pons. Pons would be the 4th. That has at least 25 made 3-pointers this season.
Yeah, keep in mind with that point about the rebounding. Their rebounding margin is not very good at all, St. John's, so that's why it's so important.
Alujabi is fouled, and he'll convert and go to the free throw line. Figueroa called for the foul.
So we've seen everything on the block so far for DePaul. Nice entry pass to the baseline side. He removed the defensive guy, and he has to come from behind. So 2 guys closing in from St. John's perspective there, both of them late.
All right, so Alujabi is playing in front of friends and family for really the first time in his career. He was at Oakland first, then he was at North Carolina A&T. There's about 50 family members that have made their way here. It's about a half-hour's drive. His free throw is no good, but the rebound tipped around. Clark pulls it down for St. John's. Did you ever get a chance to play in front of the friends and family?
Occasionally.
Yeah?
Yeah, you get pumped up a little extra. Over at the Garden a couple of times, and in New Jersey a few.
4-0 on top. 3-pointer again for St. John's is good. That's a friendly bounce. Brian Trimble, his 12th 3 of the season.
Yeah, only 33%, so you can see right off the bat they're kind of giving him that shot a little bit.
Here's Kane running through the lane. It rolls in and out. Rebound by Reed, and the putback is good. Reed is a guy that if you watch him in practice, I mean, this kid has some athleticism.
And keep in mind, in their win against Seton Hall, he's coming off big numbers, too, where he had almost a double-double with 12 points, 9 rebounds.
There, and has that ball cut off by Kane. Here's Strus. He'll shoot it from anywhere. It's a little short, but the putback is there by Reed.
Yeah, the interesting part of that shot, too, Tom, from long range, how soft it was. A lot of times long-range shots kick off the rim and go the other way. That was a very...
Well, back here at St. John's, look at the transition and then the rebound on the offensive end for DePaul.
Good rotation on the basketball, allows that ball to hit the rim and then die on the rim, even though it kicks off just softly to the right.
8-3, DePaul is on top. Look at the battle underneath, and the basket is good by Mustafa Heron, and he'll go to the free throw line.
He is just playing consistent basketball all season long, but you watch him down low, he's going to use that hand to basically extend away from the double team, finishing it off, averaging the 15 points this season. Good numbers for Chris Mullen. So everybody is going to have to chip in here for St. John's and try to score a little bit to make up for the lack of scoring that they're not going to get from a 21-point score in Pons.
75% from the line. He converts the free throw. It's a 2-point lead for DePaul.
Plus, after the timeout, I like the fact that Chris Mullen goes to the blocks. Don't take it outside where you've been shooting the basketball. Go to the basket with it. Make some good things happen.
Yeah, because they are a three-point shooting team, but they've got some athleticism. They can go to the basket.
Oh, absolutely. When St. John's is playing their best, a couple of guys, they're swinging the basketball, but 1, 2, and 3 guys are dribbling it towards the basket to get the defense rotating. Just like that.
Going into the paint. Shot is off the mark. Offensive board by Alujabi, and he can't get it to go down. St. John's with the rebound, and the ball out of bounds. It'll remain St. John's basketball.
Yeah, DePaul doesn't get anything on that trip off the glass, but they have been really dominating early at the offensive end of the floor, both on offensive tip backs, but also position basketball.
3 offensive rebounds so far for the Blue Demons.
That keeps up. Probably going to be plenty of scoring from DePaul down in the paint.
Step back jumper by Aaron is no good. Bruce with the rebound. Now he can bring the ball up also. That's part of his evolution. Here comes Reed running in the lane. He's a little too short. He had a bad angle, and momentum has carried him away.
What about Smooth? He averages 3 assists a game, so you're absolutely right.
Simon blew right by him, and that ball goes off the top of the backboard. Now, if he was playing a game of horse, he probably would have won.
What's the rule there, Tom? Do you know it?
8 to 6.
Something to watch and something to continue to talk about to see how DePaul handles the rebound.
With the basketball with a 2-point lead. Promotion offense Gage heading right to the basket. Finds a little bit of an opening and lays it in.
Yeah, that's all designed to make sure that you get guys moving as you touch on top and make sure that they dribble that basketball. They touch on when St. John's is playing good basketball. That's what they're doing. They're catching it and going. Now they're a little stale with the basketball. It's not really hot until the end here.
It's a pretty impressive story coming back from that blown Achilles last year. And he has not missed a beat as far as his speed goes.
Watch him looking for an opening, and then all of a sudden he drives to the basket because he recognizes that he's got a mismatch with the big guy on him, and he's got him on his left shoulder. All he needs to do there is get his left shoulder and left hip beyond the big guy.
Came into the ballgame for the first time. Clark's 3 is off the mark. Here comes Gage up the floor. Sidewinding through the paint. Sweeps in. Has it blocked away by Williams. It will remain DePaul basketball.
Continue drive to the basket. Both of the guards. We've seen both of them come in. Maybe not the best decision to try to squeeze through the 2 players this end. I do like the effort by DePaul, both on the box out, on the box where they're posting up, and also the guards driving into the basket.
5 minutes into this first half, and DePaul with a 4-point lead. Cruz dribbles in, trying to get a little separation. St. John's, Chris Mullen told us they want to make sure that they force him to dribble the basketball. They go down low, and Buck can't convert. Picked up by Reed.
How does Reed get that?
I don't know.
I thought that was going out of bounds.
Shot clock is at 5. Gage, I don't think he realizes it. Now he does. Heading in off the glass. No good. Ball is kicked around. Reed is over the back. It's going to be a DePaul foul.
Welcome inside our New York studios. Obviously out at St. John's, we're having some technical issues. Brent Stover here and Wally Zerbiak. So we'll call the game for you and hopefully get things sorted out at Carnesecca. DePaul, the early advantage. Again, the leading scorer for St. John's and one of the best players in the country has a lower back strain, and that's Shamori Pons. He's not playing in the game. And DePaul, Wally, on the road. This is a good start. They've had to grind it out, and they lead by 4, nearly 6.5 minutes deep.
Yeah, and St. John's is going to have to figure out how to replace one of the best players in the nation with the way Pons has been scoring the basketball. And there you see Kane knocking down the jump shot from outside DePaul. Off to a good start. They looked very focused to try to get a good road win against the top 25 team.
Eli Kane knocking down that one for DePaul moments ago. They lead by 4, 13-43 here in the opening half in this pivotal Big East matchup. DePaul 9-5, St. John's is 14-2, one and done here. And here come the Johnnies on the run, slicing through the rain, but unable to finish that time. In the lane was Greg Williams Jr., and DePaul back the other way. Femi Olujobi draws the contact, and Olujobi, who's a 6'9" senior from Long Island, is going to be at the line for a couple.
Yeah, that was a nice baseline move. The help came a little bit late, a little confusion. Simon and Williams right there didn't know whether the help was coming over or not.
They called it travel, so it's a turnover back to St. John's.
Very favorable whistle on that one.
Absolutely.
Did shuffle his feet a little bit, though.
Carnesecca Arena. Justin Simon pull up from the free throw line, and he drills it in St. John's with a much-needed bucket. The offense has struggled in this opening half.
It's Justin Simon's team today. Without Shamari Pons in the lineup, you can see he's orchestrating a lot of the offense. He's making the plays go, and when he knocks down that mid-range shot, that opens up his drives quite a bit.
Eli Kane leans in on a three and drills it. One of the contact, didn't get the contact, but knocks it down from beyond the arc, and DePaul stretches the lead back to 5.
Could have been a 4-point play opportunity there, Brad. There was some contact, but I like a no call because I think Eli Kane leaned in.
Mid-range shot won't fall, and it's one and done. Cade unable to knock that one in. And here comes DePaul. Again, technical issues at St. John's. We'll get you back out there as soon as we can in terms of the audio. Meantime, Brent Stover and Wally Zerbiak here in our New York studios. And again, St. John's with the ball down by 5. Skip pass for Simon. And he took the extra step, and a turnover back to DePaul. Sloppy play really on both sides in the opening 8 minutes.
Yeah, there's the lean in. Defender is entitled to his airspace, although Keita did lean in slightly. Kane, if he would have jumped straight up, there wouldn't have been contact. Could have gone either way, but Kane will take that three-pointer, even though he wasn't intending to get it in that way. He wanted to get to the free throw line.
So DePaul basketball leading 15-10. Olujobi is able to draw the whistle underneath, and he's at the line. Which gets us to the under 12. DePaul leads St. John's 15-10.
Ready to go. Got the news earlier today that Shamari Pons, lower back strain, not in the lineup. DePaul's got to hear that news and say, okay, this is big-time news. This gives us an opportunity to even up our conference record at 2-2. And conversely, St. John's, this is a big game. It really is. Heartbreaking loss up at Villanova. I thought they played their hearts out. Just Villanova took that game down the stretch. Now they're 2-2 in conference. This is one at home that St. John's would like to get despite not having Pons in the lineup.
Olujobi knocks it down. So he gets both free throws at 17-10. DePaul 8 minutes in from Carnesecca. And you see the numbers on the rebounding. And DePaul offensive rebounding, they've been very good. Third in the Big East in that department. Drive and kick, and you said this is Justin Simon's day. Looking mid-range here. Darius Hall can't convert. Got his own rebound to the left. It rolls off. A couple of good cracks at it, but St. John's comes up empty again.
Yeah, Marvin Clark's going to have a big game today with Pons out of the lineup. He's going to have to step up with Simon. Those guys are going to have to go for big numbers, orchestrating the offense and scoring points.
That was Marvin Clark, obviously. Olujobi underneath, couldn't convert. And it's out of bounds back to St. John's. Marvin Clark, the redshirt senior, 6'7", 225. He's 8th in the Big East in free throw percentage. He's top 20 in the conference in scoring at 14 a game. So a pivotal game for him. You see Eli Kane, who's going to get a seat on the DePaul bench. Mustafa Heron with Marvin Clark, Justin Simon. This is Clark, rotated for Simon. And right back for Clark, the lefty, corner three, misfires, and a weak side rebound for Schreiner and DePaul. Devin Gage for the Blue Demons. Deep three, way out. Spins off, and it's rebounded by Clark.
This is what St. John's has to do. Get going in transition, force the tempo a little bit, get the crowd into the game. Right now, just off to a very sluggish start.
Clark couldn't finish, but the rebound is up and in. L.J. Figueroa, the sophomore, cleans it up, and it's 17-12.
You can see the aggressiveness. Clark really looking to score, looking to attack, looking to take threes. Those shots are going to start to fall. He's got to get himself into rhythm.
Lyric Schreiner knocks one down from outside, and the lead back to 7. So the action is picked up as we approach the midpoint of this first half. DePaul 19 and 24th ranked St. John's 12. And a foul underneath on DePaul is against Paul Reed.
As Clark gets the ball up at the rim, and sometimes when you draw defenders, then your teammate's going to get a nice little opportunity. Good fadeaway jumper right there. Schreiner, just that little fade gives him that little airspace to get a shot over the well-contested hand and knock it down.
And Figueroa converts on the first. Again, we're having some audio issues with our announcers, Tom McCarthy and Jim Spanarkel, on site at this game. So we are coming to you from our New York studios. Obviously, you're seeing the pictures and the sound from inside Carnesecca Arena. Brent Stover and Wally Zerbiak here in New York at our CBS Sports Network studios. We'll try to get you back out there to our regular game announcers as soon as we can and get the audio issue solved. In the meantime, you can see the pictures and we'll describe it for you with DePaul leading St. John's on the road by 5. Fadeaway, tough shot, and he knocks it down on the baseline. Max Struss, the senior from Hickory Hills, Illinois.
Yeah, you can see DePaul trying to make St. John's pay for going small. St. John's has 4 guards out there right now pretty much, and a lot of versatility, but not a lot of height and strength down low. So DePaul's going to really try to attack on the inside.
Devin Gage, pull-up from 17, won't fall, and it's cleared by St. John's. And Brian Trimble. L.J. Figueroa, nifty move in the lane, able to tip it back in off of his miss. Stayed with it and scores for St. John's.
Small lineup paying dividends right now. Driving lanes are open. Driving kick game is where St. John's wants to expose DePaul with their quickness and speed.
Off the curled Struss, back to Schreiner. Schreiner off the bounce, going to kick it for Gage, and he lost it out of bounds. And back to the Johnnies.
Yeah, don't give up on the play. Figueroa does a good job of playing volleyball with himself. He knows where that ball's coming off the board. He shot the shot. He gets the quick athletic finish, jumping quick, getting the tip in. St. John's starting to find a little bit of momentum and rhythm here. Crowd's getting into the game, starting to force some turnovers.
Lujaby leads DePaul with 6. St. John's has gotten 6 from Figueroa, and a tough shot in the lane, Mustafa Heron.
Mustafa Heron put his defender in the blender on spin cycle on that one. Split the defenders. Thought there could have been a foul too, but hey, don't put your fate in the hands of the officials. Just finish through contact. That's what Heron did there.
5 for Heron. It's 21-18 at the 8-minute mark in this opening half. And Devin Gage watched by Figueroa. And now Jalen Butts rifles a pass inside. Schreiner looking to go to work. Turnaround wouldn't go. Deflected by the St. John's defender. End of the shot clock. A deep 3 won't fall. And flying in for the rebound is Trimble. Mustafa Heron driving kick. Open 3. Trimble is off the mark. And rebounded by DePaul.
Good looks for St. John's. Ball is swinging. Ball is zipping around, moving, finding the right guy. Now the shots just have to start falling. I know Chris Mullen's probably over there like, come on, guys. Got to make those open shots. We need makers, not just takers.
Here's Eli Kane going one-on-one. Pull up from mid-range. It's too strong and rebounded again by Trimble. He's bringing the energy right now for St. John's.
Yeah, St. John's gang rebounding. Guards attacking the glass, coming from the backcourt in order to help out on those boards.
Marvin Clark again with a tough move underneath, and he scores. And it's a one-point game as the clock winds under 7 minutes in this opening half here at St. John's. It's a 6-0 run for the Red Storm.
St. John's switching everything. With this lineup, they have the ability to switch on defense, take the pick and roll out of play.
Eli Kane off the bounce that time, deflected out. It'll stay with DePaul when we come back. 6:38, opening half. DePaul leads St. John's.
Cannot get on track to the scoring side of it.
And again, with Shamari Pons out, I mean, he's a huge piece of their offense. You know, even the rhythm could be off because he's not out there.
Now, keep in mind, he also gets to the free throw line about 6 or 7 times a game, so there's so many things that pile up against St. John's without him on the floor.
Here's Strus trying to force the action. Cannot get it to go down. The ball is tipped around. St. John's will pull it down.
Yeah, good word, Tom. Force. He's just tried to force that action. They want to have him put the ball on the floor. Strus is a good shooter from the outside, but not as effective when he's dribbling, and that's what St. John's is trying to key on.
Here's Simon up top. They go down low, trying to get some action inside the paint. Three-pointer from the left side, no good. And Schreiner pulls down the rebound for DePaul.
And you notice how maybe St. John's, without getting things happening, it's going to go the other way, though, with a little block action down low.
All right, take a look at Alujube down low.
Yeah, watch what he does. He comes down, and there's that left arm extension to establish position. Now, what you want to do as a big guy just there, don't bring the left arm up. Just walk right into your guy. Don't run into him. Walk right into him. You automatically have the inside position, and you'll be able to catch the entry pass without having to put your left arm up.
All right, so that's part of the storyline for St. John's with Pons out. He's got 36 threes this year. They've gone inside, and Simon gives St. John's their first lead. It's 22-21. It's an 8-0 run.
Yeah, as we touched on at the beginning of the broadcast, Simon is very important because he's going to have to try to take on a lot of the ball handling, one-on-one opportunities, and also the pick and rolls that Pons generally does for this team.
Alujube is double teamed down low, bounces his way inside, and is able to find a little daylight. DePaul first points in over 4 minutes.
Well, they know if they're going to win this game, Tom, it's going to be on the blocks offensively. They have to continue to do exactly that, and then occasionally force the kick out, force St. John's to double team. That's going to go the other way.
Yeah, offensive foul is called on the Red Storm. That's going to go against Keita.
It's a little cut across, lefty going to his right, finishing it off. Nobody home defensively.
So DePaul with a 1-point lead, 23-22. 5:08 to play here in the first half. They had a drought of over 4 minutes without a field goal. They just connected on that one. A motion offense up top. Here's Strus, got a little daylight, lets it fly. Good.
Nice pick and pop just then. We've seen that in the first half where they look for a driving opportunity. What happens there, once you drive once or twice, St. John's then starts to lay back just a little bit, and that's a perfect time to go with that pick and pop, well executed.
5 points, 5 rebounds for Strus. They worked on that at practice today. Alujube knocks the ball out of bounds. Strus is such a great story, as we mentioned. Came from the right block to curl back over.
And then look at all the separation he has. 3 or 4 feet, way too much for him to get a shot off.
They must have worked on that at practice today for about 20 minutes. Gage in traffic, and it's stolen away.
Get to the middle of the floor now, see things happen. There you go with Herron.
Yeah, Herron, a 17-footer, grazes the front of the rim. Well, he had an open shot. Now Gage bringing it back up with a 4-point lead.
Yeah, this day and age, guys pull up. They don't look for that run out to the basket as much as in the old days. A lot of times they swing it to the three-point shooter.
There's Kane. Kane was about 3 steps beyond the arc on that three-point attempt.
Yeah, and a little bit quick, I think. Both of these teams are not taking great shots in the sequence of their offense. They're not letting it develop at all.
Simon, pull up right elbow. His jumper's good off the front of the rim.
And perfectly executed again in terms of just then with Simon watching his defender go behind the high screen. Good time to just pull up off the one dribble. You get the rhythm out of your shot also.
Well, he now has 8 points. He averages just over 10. We mentioned he's going to be handling the basketball with Pons out with the lower back strain. Lujaby down low, wait for the basket. He'll turn and jump, and it's no good. Simon pulls down the weak side board.
I think he knows he can jump over people and score.
Figueroa, high, arcing shot, it's good.
Strus made a decent effort, too, getting out there on the wing to go get him. But you are absolutely right. He had to change that shot and adjust it just a touch to get it over the extended hand of the defender.
One thing Dave Lato talked about is that these guys can shoot at any point on the floor. Kane for three, it's good.
Nice
That's
answer.
A beautiful answer.
Yeah, they're trying to get some rhythm in this game, aren't they? Going up and down and score a little bit, but it's been mostly on the defensive side.
I've been impressed with how Eli Kane has changed his body from his freshman year to now his senior year. He was spindly when he came into DePaul, and he's not spindly anymore.
Whoa, I like that.
Yeah. A little wiry. 29-27. Aaron laying the screen for Simon. Shot clock down to 7.
With the collapse. A little bit of a collapse by DePaul. A lot of guys in the paint. And worked well defensively. Stepped out of line and goes the other way.
All right, so back and forth as we go. As you mentioned, both teams trying to find a rhythm.
Yeah, trying to get it going. Look at Figueroa. That one goes way upstairs.
Its first win in the NCAA tournament since 2000.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's, the confidence, though, that Chris has in this team in terms of, he was talking about putting more guys in today who have some size. And he doesn't have a whole lot of size that's experienced and totally healthy yet. So their smaller lineup has really had to rebound a lot.
Lujaby strong as he goes toward the baseline with that lay-in. He's got 10 points.
And he's got 9 attempts already from the floor.
4-point lead for DePaul.
Notice the way DePaul just sits in the middle of the lane too, Tom. It's kind of like a lazy man-to-man, stopping the drives, forcing the St. John's to the perimeter.
Three-pointer from the corner, a little too strong.
There's the strategy. The strategy works.
Yeah, they know there's certain guys that they can force to take that three.
Oh, close to a travel.
Very close.
That's what the guys behind us reffing the game thought.
Cameron has that blocked away. That's the second block. Trimble leaves it for Simon. Queta, man, that one didn't even hit the rim.
No.
It did touch the net. Doesn't count, though. 31-27. Gage heading to the basket, trying to bring the defense with him. Strus was open for a moment, and Kane goes diving in, and he's going to go to the free throw line. That foul is going to go on Justin Simon. That's his first.
Look at Queta behind, too. He's getting ready to block and does get the block. And Simon defensively, you really don't know your big guy is right behind you all the time in terms of the reads defensively. Good effort by both players, though.
So now Kane, who has 8 points tonight and has nearly reached 1,400 points in his career, 74% for the free throw line at his first.
He's actually had 70 games in double-figure scoring.
Incredible.
For this team. Yeah, it's a terrific career he's had.
Coming up on AT&T at the half, Brent Stover, Wally Zerbiak, John Rothstein, and Seth Davis are standing by across the East River in our Manhattan studio. They'll get you updated on all the news and highlights. Some great games today in college basketball. It's all coming up on AT&T at the half. They'll talk about Shamori Pons and the fact that he's out with a back strain.
Yep. I'm sure they'll talk a little bit about that Georgetown-Providence game, double overtime. Georgetown youngsters stepping up at the end of that game with 2 long three-point shots to keep that game going.
I wonder if they'll also talk about the fact that we should be doing AT&T at the half since they did the game for about 10 minutes.
Nah, let them work.
40 seconds to play in this first half.
Here's a true zone just right now. A lot of times you can tell it's a zone with defensive guys pointing their hands to.
Look at Figueroa letting it fly. Oh, my.
He goes upstairs with his shot, doesn't he?
It is remarkable what his range is. Dave Lato's going to use the timeout. He's told them, get up in their grill.
Yeah.
Don't give them an open shot. It doesn't matter where they are on the floor.
They start to snow it. He shoots the basketball. Coming off a nice game against Villanova in their loss the other night, where he's 4 for 6 from 3. Guy who scores 14 points a game. They're hoping that he gets 18, 19, 20 today without Pons on the lineup.
I have some reminders in my scorebook, and my reminder for him is that he can shoot the deep three.
That was a good note.
5 seconds to play. Queta blocks it out of bounds. It's number 3.
Another note should be he can block a lot of drives to the basket. That's one of the bigs that Chris Mullin was hoping would step it up, not so much at the offensive end, but defensively. Look for the quick catch and go here. Maybe one dribble if it gets to a guard.
Yeah, remember Reed is on the bench with 2 fouls. He would be great for this. They get it in quickly to Kane. His baseline jumper is no good. And Alujabi tried the putback, but it's off the mark. And DePaul goes into the halftime locker room up by 1. LJ Figueroa made sure of that. That's the end of the first half. Let's see if that changes. Simon is getting more of the ball handling duties because of Pons being out with the back injury.
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with, number one, the poor shooting in terms of statistics and statistically has to do without Pons being on the floor because they're making adjustments. They're used to seeing Pons with the ball quite a bit and setting the table. Now it's somebody else who has to do it.
Herron's jumper is good. It's a 2-point field goal. And by the way, St. John's has Cada starting at the 5 position to begin this second half. He has 3 blocked shots.
Yeah, I think that's an adjustment by Chris Mullin that says, to me at least, that they're going to try to go to the blocks a little bit more and have a big guy in there.
Strus, who didn't really get on track in the first half, now has 7 as DePaul retakes the lead, 33-32.
Strus 2 of 7 from the floor, and about 4 or 5 of those shots were contested. One in particular that stands out was how he forced the shot in the middle of the lane.
Turnover forced. Here comes Kane up the side of the floor. Oh, that was a tough pass.
Yeah,
not a good pass. Look out. Wow. And Strus is saying he got the ball. It's still a good foul, even though it's called a foul, because that was going to be a slam dunk that may have raised the roof here at Carnesecca Arena.
Yeah, good point. And you can tell here with the turnover that Clark is going to try to throw this down. And let's see if he gets. Ooh, I'll tell you what.
Get all ball.
You can always tell by a player, the defensive player, whether he's made a foul or not, just by his body reaction after the play. And his initial reaction said, hey, he said it to the official. I got all ball on that play, and he was correct.
Now Clark misses the free throw. He's usually an 81% free throw shooter.
Sometimes on plays like that, Tom, when they both guys go up and there's a big-time challenge, not to say that the officials assume things, but on that kind of play, sometimes you assume there's going to be contact.
No doubt, and you usually give it to the offensive player.
Yep, especially on an aggressive move like that.
Strus turnaround jumper from the baseline, a little too short. Clark with the board. St. John's they've tied it up at 33. Clark inside the three-point line, no good. Alujabi with the rebound for DePaul.
That's the type of shot, though, that Clark has to hit, coming off that little screen for the 15-footer. See if there's going to be a double-team run out. A little fake at it.
Yeah, that causes Alujabi to pass it out. Reed had 2 fouls in the first half. Didn't play a whole lot, but strong to the basket.
See, I like the fact that they have 2 guys on the floor like that who are 6'9", and they complement one another on the block. So DePaul continues to do exactly what they did in the first half. Find the blocks. If it's not there, good kick out. The first entry pass and go to the other side of the floor.
Reed out of Orlando, Florida, played a little high school football. Very good athlete. Jumper no good. Engaged with the rebound. And DePaul trying to build on its 2-point lead.
See how DePaul's condensing the floor to just falling back. They're going to say to St. John's initially here in the second half, you got to beat us from the outside.
And a foul going to be called on Cada. All right, so we say how athletic Reed is. I think you see speed and athleticism here.
So the good footwork to get things going, 53% from the floor on the year. But I like the fact that there was patience on both sides of the floor for DePaul, forcing St. John's to play. And that's exactly why Kate is on the floor, to help out underneath, try to block another shot or 2.
Gage only 2 points so far. He's averaging 10.5 the last 9. And Chris Mullin is really working the officials. Nathan Farrell, the young official. Mullin thinks that this should not be a shooting foul, and that's what he is voicing to the officials. I thought it was close, honestly, because he was in the lane going up.
Plenty of traffic around him, too.
It's 35-33. DePaul just 2 of 7 from the free throw line.
Yeah, see, you got to drive. Yeah, there you go. You got to drive by some people here. If you're just going to pass it around the horn, it's not going to get it done.
Another jumper off the mark. Going by Marvin Clark, and that's a tough pass. Clark gets back to cut it off, and Strus underneath will pull it out. Lujaby down low against Clark. Didn't have position. Now backs his way in. Baseline.
That's a step.
They'll call traveling violation. Again, the big story coming in, Shamori Pons out with a back injury. It's been bothering him for several games, and you hear this a lot with coaches, and they're right. They don't want it to sustain itself throughout the course of the year, so give him some time to breathe it. But I mean, look what he's done.
Look at the numbers. I mean, his season so far.
I wish my back bothered me that bad.
Yeah, exactly. 9 games over 20 points or more. Sensational season so far. Had a tough time against Villanova, though, in the last 10 minutes of that game.
There's Simon baseline jumper. It's no good. It rims out.
They're getting the looks, aren't they?
They sure are.
That's 3 or 4 in a row that they've gotten from 15-foot range.
Okada called for his 3rd foul.
It doesn't get any closer to going in. And that shot right there.
So Okada will sit.
And now you would anticipate that they'll look for the blocks again.
Yeah, because it's a smaller lineup for the Blue Demons. Strus, he wasn't looking for any kind of block there.
You and I were.
He may have had somebody down low, too. Aaron covered by Kane. And Lujaby with the good hands. Trying to run the length of the floor. Heron. Oh, man, what a jam. And he'll go to the free throw line for a 3-point play.
Tom, I'm telling you what Heron was thinking. Heron was thinking, I have this lined up, and I'm going to take a shot at right there, and boom. That was a quick dunk. Off the floor very fast, but look how fast he dunks the basketball. He understands that somebody's coming over his shoulder, and you got to get that quickly. Not that I have ever had that happen to me, but I think you have to throw it down fast.
From what we've been told. Lujaby's free throw no good. He's got 12 points. He's got 12 points in his last 2 games, in each of his last 2 games. And today he's been active on the boards as well. 4-point lead, 37-33. Figueroa into the paint, got the run off the front of the rim.
See, that's just an example of the drive to the basket. Figueroa, very, very good. I mean, he understands exactly what he's trying to accomplish. But I just don't think you pull up jump shots 15 feet away are going to get it done for St. John's unless they mix up some drives.
Gage pull-up jumper is no good. Strus trying to get the board, and a foul is called.
So was that Simon grabbing him a little bit?
Second foul called on. He has 12 points. It's the second time in 3 games he has scored 12 points in a ball game. He's been commanding on the boards too.
Yeah, and they've established them early on in this game and continue here in the second half. And 9th game with 10 or more points. Wow.
Oh man, Reed just speeding through the paint.
I like the way they're mixing it up. Getting Reed involved. Lujaby the same thing. Both of those guys. And then watch for your guards to take over.
Yeah, Reed is only a sophomore. Has come a long way since last year. Simon with a beautiful crossover that gave him some freedom. He has 10. 39-37 Kane. He's open off the glass too strong. And a foul on the floor to go against St. John's.
So here comes Reed down the floor, making that happen, switching that to his right hand and spinning it off the glass. And look at Simon. I thought there was a little bit of a graze. That could have been an N1 call just then. Hand on the hip.
Well, fresh 30 for the Blue Demons. As we head toward the 15-minute mark, Clark, by the way, has 3 personal fouls for St. John's.
A little stagnant set here offensively for DePaul.
Wind the shot clock down. Gage, a pull-up jumper from 16, no good. Yeah, the rebound by Trimble.
He's been struggling from the outside. That's why they're giving him the shot. Last 8 games or so, he's really had some problems putting shots down from the outside.
Simon was doing a little directing of the traffic as he gets the ball back.
But notice the lack of energy with anything offensively.
Figueroa down low. That was a nice sequence.
Yeah, but it took a little while for them to get into it. But once they start getting into it, they mix it up with the drives. That's when St. John's, usually with Pons helping them do that. But I think right now, guys like Simon have to pick it up a little bit. Heron has to do the same thing off the dribble.
That's 4 assists for Simon. A top to Reed.
Give it to him.
Yeah,
there you
high
go.
low. Alujabi has some size off the glass. He'll go to the free throw line.
Figueroa couldn't handle him. It was just basic basketball just then, Tom, in terms of the delivery to the post. And watch for the left foot. Watch his left foot. See that little bit of a step gets him going towards the baseline, and then all of a sudden his strength takes over. Listed at 258. But it's a tight 258.
Well, now he goes to the free throw line where DePaul started 2 of 3. They've missed their last 5 free throw attempts. This one trying to finish off a 3-point play.
66%, they'll take that
Yep.
and run to the bank with it.
Alujabi will check out. Butts will check in. Butts has been battling a calf injury. That's why he's got that wrap on his leg. His minutes aren't the same because of it, but he was moving around pretty well today at practice.
Yeah, and they ended up playing him 33 minutes also against Seton Hall last time out, where he had 12 points. So he's been working through it a bit.
Aaron feeds Figueroa, double team.
Yep,
They try to go inside, yeah.
That's not going anywhere but the other direction.
Engaged to Reed. Reed underneath. Blocked away. Queta. That's his 4th block.
Queta has terrific instincts. As that ball was being dribbled on the right side of the floor, he had an understanding right now that he knows exactly where this shot is going. And look at him with his left hand. Beautifully done. Nice read. And you also need your first defensive guy to slow somebody down with the basketball so you can time it better.
One of many transfers that St. John's has, but experience, Final Four experience with South Carolina. Playing with 3 personal fouls. And Butts is able to exploit that by switching to the other side of the floor.
Yeah, and it gets, a lot of people say you get the rim protection, but sometimes you get net protection, which is just as important. The guy can't go through that net cleanly. Nice look.
Yep, Queta has it blocked away by Reed. Picked up though by St. John's. Shot clock does not reset. Still plenty of time. And Herron realizes that.
Yeah, they have to go now.
Yep, 7 on the shot clock. Herron, 3-pointer is good. Actually, they're going to say he's on the line, so it's going to be a 2-point field goal.
Yeah, you got to give credit to Herron just then because he read that shot clock and recognized that set wasn't going very far.
Reed, spin move, high off the glass. Boy, the bigs have been really good for DePaul. That's 10 points now for Reed. So both bigs are in double digits.
And that time Trimble Jr. was down there by himself on the blocks defensively at 6'3". I know he's strong, but he's not tall enough to deal with that. The other way.
Yep, Simon tried to get some separation, gave a little nudge. That's 3 fouls on Simon.
Dave Lato recognizes that this is what they want to continue to do. Find their bigs on the blocks as much as they can. This time Butts goes the opposite side to get the delivery. He's shooting at 66%. The other side of the floor over the outstretched arms of their big guy, Queta. Another finish for Reed down low.
Lato told us today, he said, there's a realization with this team, DePaul that is, that they are a good team and they can get even better as this season moves on. I
like the combinations that they have. A couple of guys from the outside, like Kane, can handle the basketball. What a beautiful delivery.
And a timeout called by St. John's, trying to quiet a 9-2 run. DePaul in control for a lot of that first half. And Chris Mullins still working the officials, a little unhappy about a couple of the calls. His team playing without Shamori Pons, the outstanding junior, who's out with a sore back, averages 20.6 points per game.
So after a timeout, they try to get the post-up action.
There's Pons. It's only the 2nd foul on the Blue Demons, which is why the fans are giving a little bit of a cheer in the background.
As we've stated in many a game, that's why you don't give out whistles as giveaway gifts.
Here's Clark, and Clark knifing his way through, lays it in.
So there's one timeout and the drive to the basket. Chris Mullin was looking for a little foul there on the charge block call, but I don't think it was strong enough, and there's a reach around it. Now you're going to hear them.
Yes. I think there was contact there.
Yeah, and they reach around, you're late.
11:45 to play.
Veteran coach, and more importantly, I think on top of that is the fact that he's reminding his team that you heard that simple thing, shooters are shooters, drivers are drivers. You said, well, that's kind of basic, but that's what scouting is all about. And understanding when a guy is a lefty driver, make him drive it with his right hand, because guys who are lefties. And when they go to their right, not only are they less apt to score as easily with their right hand, but they're probably not going to make that great a pass going to their weak hand either. So there are a couple of things to think about, but I love that huddle.
50-43 after the two made free throws. Alujabi comes back into the ball game for Reed. Tough pass inside.
That could be a jump ball.
It is a jump ball.
They'll tie up. I could never lose that phrase, the jump ball, right?
It's always got to be in there.
Good cut. Better defensive effort just then by Kane waiting it out.
And the hand was on the ball. There was nothing. There was no hand on hands. Trimble checks out. Figueroa comes back in. This is a 7-point lead now for the Blue Demons. Now, they've been in this kind of territory before in a handful of games, and the only game they really weren't in was the Notre Dame game earlier this season.
Strus and Figueroa working on the right side of the floor.
Shot clock down to 10. Alujabi. A couple of hands on the ball, and then he's able to misdirect his feet and lay it in.
Yeah, one of the most impressive parts of him so far tonight is his patience. Finish that one off, Mr. Figueroa.
That erases what was the largest lead of the night for DePaul. It's a 7-point lead now as we head toward the midway point of the second half. Kane, Alujabi down low.
Somebody going to run at him, or it's just one-on-one. Tough stop. Almost turned that pivot foot up.
Strus has been quiet. He hasn't needed to do a whole lot. Shot clock is at 5. He'll fire short. And the rebound by St. John's.
I think you go right back to the post on that one rather than a fourth straight.
Yeah, become a passer as Figueroa with the 3 too strong.
One of the questions I'm starting to think about, Tom, is that normally in a game like this, you're down 7 if you're St. John's. You have Pons on the floor. He's a guy who can score in spurts. They don't have him today in this game. Who's going to step up and score a couple in a spurt situation? Might have to be Figueroa or Simon.
Yeah, Figueroa has shown not only to hit the 3, but he also can drive at a foul. Had a game where he had 37 this year. That's Jalen Coleman lands.
Yeah.
Poor kid. He broke his left hand last year at Illinois. Now his right hand, or at Illinois his second season. Now his right hand here for DePaul.
And almost a 10-point scorer for them too.
Had surgery, and they're hoping he'll be back in the very near future.
I'll tell you what's a big factor in this game. Chris Mullen continues to complain about the officials. But you look up right now, and St. John's just hit 10 team fouls.
And they'll get some practice if this game continues the way we think it is. They're 5 of 12 today. And now Strus. I asked Dave today when we were at practice about Strus. I said, did you expect him to be this kind of player, averaging 18.5 and 7.5 rebounds? He said, when he transferred from Lewis, it took a week for me to change my perspective on him and what I wanted his goals to be. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, good point, and hard-nosed guy too. But they are collapsing the floor, meaning that they're trying to play this in the paint as best they can.
Clark got an aggressive first step. That's his 7th point. I got DePaul with only 2 fouls. St. John's with 10 team fouls.
And if you're at DePaul, you want to spend more time on the post to take advantage of either that, the dump downs, or the drive to the basket to try to get to the line.
Here's Kane. Step back from the free throw line. Good. That was a controlled shot. That's 10 points for Kane.
Yeah, he's looking, he's probing to try to get to the middle of the floor on that set. We've seen a couple of nice pull-up shots for Kane, though.
His 10 points moves him past Tyrone Corbin on the all-time list at DePaul.
Whoop, whoop. There you go. Move your feet, you're in trouble.
Second foul on Kane. Here's this basket.
Yeah, Kane with just a tiny bit of separation just then. You see him against Figueroa. He wants to get himself driving away from the basket, but then at the last second stops to go up over. You take a look at some of this foul trouble that St. John's has. Obviously, we just spoke about the 10 team fouls, so that's adding up quickly.
10 team fouls for St. John's, only 3 for DePaul. Figueroa.
Yeah, they're trying to dribble or two.
Simon, beautiful, crisp shot from Simon. That's 12 points for him.
Now they know they have to nail down a defensive stop here, and their fans starting to get a little noisy for the defensive effort.
St. John's, its best start since the 90-91 season.
They keep going away from Reed. I think I'd go to Reed.
Alujabi backing his way in, and his soft hook shot is good. 58-49, 8:10 to play here in the second half.
How about Alujabi too, Tom, using that body to get contact?
Yeah, he must have been a handful at North Carolina A&T. Clark nails that three. Boy, do they need that? 10 points for Clark. St. John shoots at 40% from the three. But again, they're playing without Shamori Pons. Reed cut off.
Yep, good no shot.
Alujabi, his three is no good. He's not necessarily a three-point shooter. It's only his 9th attempt this year.
Here's where you need a good shot.
Simon.
Good decision not to shoot that ball, too.
And Figueroa, that's a tough shot, but the rebound by Cada. Clark over the double team, gets the roll.
Had to avoid Strus in the lane also. So now all of a sudden, even the players out there are trying to get the fans involved. Good timeout by DePaul. And all of a sudden, the old momentum has shifted totally in this game.
Clark with 12 points, 10 rebounds.
Finishing it off. We've got ourselves a game here for the last 7 minutes and change.
Well, we've talked about how competitive the Big East is this year, and the fact that DePaul is in the mix in that competitiveness with 9-5 record. They have the ball off the inbound. Clean game turnover-wise. Reed against Heron, spinning move knocked away. And a foul is called. Ooh.
Well, everything's 2 shots, too, just as a reminder.
Yep. Clarence Armstrong was going to call it DePaul basketball. Bo Borowski called this the foul.
There it is. Second man in from the outside. Watch the spin and watch Simon.
He got his arm.
Yeah, I guess it pulls his arm down. That's why the ball squirts right towards the exit.
And Reed with the free throw. That's 4 fouls now on Simon. With Pons being injured, the depth is pressed for St. John's.
8 of 15 from the line for DePaul. 4 of 5 at the line for St. John's. So you can see and hear why some of the people in this building, or should I say all of the people in this building, are complaining about the lack of calls for St. John's.
We're just so close to the crowd that we have some representatives that are letting everybody know. There's a three-pointer that's no good. Ball tipped back out. St. John's will get another chance. Simon to the corner. Figueroa thought about the three. His runner is off the mark.
Nice rebound and a kickoff by Reed just then. Knew he was going to fall to the ground and to the floor, which would have been a travel. He catches the basketball and releases at the same time.
Would you change anything if you're DePaul right now?
No, I just continue to play your game. I mean, they had a little slip the last 90 seconds or so.
Alujabi from the baseline. It's good. 21 points. He's 1 away from his career high.
He had that against Northwestern with 22 and 8 rebounds. And I still think the pace that we talked about in that first half, Tom, I think the pace still favors DePaul here. And it's so different without Pons on the floor.
And another missed shot.
Yes, that's the type of drive where they would have Pons orchestrating from the outside and looking for opportunities. Somebody else, not Pons, has to step up and do that. A little out of character, possibly.
62-54. 5:40 to play here in the second half.
Alujabi really wants the ball in the blocks.
He's got it along the baseline, and it's no good off the front of the rim. Nice, strong rebound by Trimble. Here's
Watch
Clark, alley-oop.
Oh,
He let him it was too shallow. It was off to the right. Strus thought about a three. Now he'll take the three. He's just been off tonight, but they haven't really needed him tonight.
No, and I'm not sure about that one just because there wasn't a whole lot of balance with his team on the offensive end.
Simon pulls up.
Smart pull-up, too, wasn't it? Alujabi standing right in front of him. Good time to pull up. Uh-oh, we get teed up.
Yeah, Chris Mullen just got a technical foul.
And one of his coaches has to get out there and get him back.
Yeah, that's been bustling for most of the night. I mean, we've talked about the fouls. I mean, St. John's, DePaul's been in the double bonus for the last 6 minutes. There have been 3 team fouls for DePaul in the second half, and double bonus time for St. John's. And Chris is still working the officials as Strus will take the free throw, and it's off the front of the rim. Mitch Richmond is trying to get him to calm down.
Yeah, get him off the court, too.
Nathan Farrell did warn him first. Strus' second free throw. It's good.
So they pick up a point there. Now a 7-point game. You don't want to give points away.
One thing that we've learned about Chris Mullin is that he is still extremely competitive.
Oh, absolutely. In his blood.
Red Storm offense. This is with Shamorie Ponds, 83.9 points per game, just 56 tonight.
I think Chris has taken a calculated move here, too, to try to get his team a little jump start as they go back into a switching man-to-man, but it's a switch out in the perimeter. We've seen guys go by people. There we go again.
Yeah, Kane quickly. Alujabi gets the offensive rebound.
Look at the hands on him. Watch out. I'd do anything I could.
Clark with 4 personal fouls. Alujabi with 21 points. 1 away from his season high. And he matches it. We mentioned he has 50 family and friends who are here watching him. He went to Brentwood High School. About 30 minutes away.
That's the way he pulls that left hand off the ball, too. Sometimes the left hand for big guys can get in the way shooting it, but watch at the very end. Left hand off. Looks like a better free throw shooter than 66% in my eye.
Sure does. 9-point lead. Getting
that hand out of the way sometimes it obviously emphasizes it. Now listen to the crowd now.
They're saying it's not a shooting foul.
That's why I was saying it. That's exactly why I was saying it. Chris Mullin up again off the bench.
It's the 4th team foul for DePaul. 15th foul, I should say. Herron. Now to Figueroa. They work it along the perimeter, feed it inside for Simon, and he pulled off just a little bit because Strus' hand was there.
A little timing play then for Strus, too. Timing, guessing that the shot was going to be taken, and he got off the floor in a hurry. And they continue to just take some time off the clock. That's the problem when you're down playing against a methodical team offensively, and there's a reach-in.
Herron called for that foul on the floor. It's still a 2-shot foul, though, the double bonus. That's 4 fouls now on Herron. So 4 St. John's players now have 4 fouls.
DePaul at 70% on the season, too. But if you're going to give them this many shots, I'll take 70%.
Practice makes perfect, too. And Kane gets the roll.
Did you see how he stepped towards the basket just then?
Just helping it.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's body language, but you want your shoulders going towards the basket slightly, especially in tough situations. Try to roll your shoulders towards the basket instead of going away. That's a much better one than the first one.
Largest lead of the night for DePaul, 67-56.
And they slide back to a zone, which makes a whole lot of sense. Try to stop the ball from being driven to the basket. I don't think it worked that time.
No, it didn't. Figueroa with a beautiful shoulder move from the left to the right.
Yeah, and you want to, against any zone, you want to first look at the free throw line and especially get a guy in there who can handle it, make a pass or a drive. Figueroa is a great guy for St. John's to counteract that zone defense.
Yeah, on the flip side, Kane has done a lot of that work at the free throw line for DePaul.
Yeah, good point.
10 on the shot clock. Strus, 3, good.
Money. 37% from the floor, but more importantly, understanding that his confidence is there and a big-time shot to give them separation on the scoreboard.
70-58, Strus coming to life.
Yes, they are. You lost me with that bobblehead story.
All I kept thinking is that when the Pete Gillen bobblehead broke apart is that somewhere he was reeling in pain because he thought it was a voodoo doll.
Fell off the desk. Hurt me a little bit. The big fella put me back together again.
Here's Simon spinning in the paint. Count the bucket.
Now you're going to see St. John's probably come in with some kind of trapping press. Make or miss on this free throw attempt. There you go. Get it to the middle of the floor and make some things happen. Good delivery by Simon. But now, more importantly, this gives St. John's an opportunity to do something in terms of up-tempoing this game because the clock isn't working against them.
And the free throw is no good.
So they're still staying up, though, out of it. They're looking, there you go. They're looking for some kind of trap. Whoa, there it is.
Here's Clark. Sweeping in, lays it in.
Smart defensive move there by Chris Mullen, strategy-wise, to change this game up. They got to get the fans back into it. One more turnover, and they'll have them back.
Here's Gage, speeds past the defender, slips it underneath Alujabi, and he lays it in. That's a season high. 72-62, 25 points.
Tom, how about the attack? Watch out. Ooh, 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 ooh.
And that gets him rolling. That's 18 points now for Simon.
Look at the way they're trying to attack it.
Reed, Alujabi, down low, Alujabi.
Go up against a smaller guy. Good, smart move. Smart
27.
Move. Twice in a row we've seen a turnover, but we've seen the reaction by DePaul to be very good.
Clark forces the three, no good. Was that a force, you think, with Clark?
Well, he's trying to put some points on the board, down 10, and they need quick points, too. And I'd be surprised if the shot clock is at under 10 when this shot comes up.
2:20 to play. (74-64). Reed, the big man. That's the story. Reed now with a career high 18 points. He has a career high, season high for Alujabi. Game plan has worked.
I think it's extraordinary the way they've executed their game plan.
Aaron lays it in. 76-66.
We'll have some time, though. Let's see how DePaul handles the pressure. Good spot up in the middle by Kane, a ball handler.
Ooh, high step into the basket. I think he traveled there.
And I'm not so sure with 22 seconds left, you have to be going that fast.
Well, Dave Lato's team has really established itself inside.
And look at the big guy. He understands Kate is not on the floor. So I know as a 6'9" guy I can score, and same thing can be said on the other side for Reed.
It's a 10-point game with 1:35 to play in the second half. Figueroa, he'll let it fly. It is good. Woo. Not over yet, folks.
No, not at all. 3 possessions. This one here is a big-time execution against the press.
And again, if you're DePaul, you'd say pull it out and just run some offense?
Yeah, eventually frustrate them. Now, you don't want to foul if you're St. John's because you've wasted 15 seconds or so. Smart.
Reed underneath. Can't get it to go. Gets his own rebound and a fresh 30.
He can pull that out.
And
that's a smart play also. Pull it out, use the clock. Now I think St. John's has to start fouling, though.
Yeah, time is winding down.
Anytime you have the 3 possessions at this point, that's a good foul, but it's 10 seconds late.
Chris Mullen felt like there was a double dribble by Reed.
Right.
The ball was touched.
And touched and kind of knocked out of his hands at the same time.
He may have shuffled his feet.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought Chris was going for also.
Here's Gage to the line. And misses the first.
78% too.
He's walking away thinking, what the heck is going on?
He's thinking that was as good as I can shoot the ball, except for putting it in. Wow,
second shot is no good. That opens the door for St. John's with 49 seconds left.
Quick hitter to the basket. There you go.
Simon, two-handed jam, and a timeout called by St. John's. It's a 5-point game, 44 seconds left to play in the second half. We have seen game plan that Dave Lato had, and it's worked to perfection tonight.
And you can run the baseline. If you're DePaul right now to get a better angle to enter the basketball.
Williams is in because so many guys have foul trouble.
Yeah, you got to foul right there if you have it.
The ball is loose, picked up by Kane. Wow. Somehow he got it to Alujabi. All these guys have all this foul. They got a foul.
You just can't take choice.
For the first time under Chris Mullen lost a tough one to Villanova earlier this week, and now on the ropes here against DePaul. But they are going to be a force when Pons gets healthy, as Strus misses the first free throw. There's Pons with the lower back strain.
Keeps it as a 2-possession game, make or miss.
DePaul would have this game iced away if not for the 14 of 25 from the free throw line with all the fouls. And Strus makes the second one, but it's still a 2-possession game.
Yep.
Simon sprints up the floor. St. John's with no timeouts. Figueroa way downtown. No good. Up the side of the rim. And Strus with the rebound. I think you have to foul him even though he's so good. We'll go to the line. He's 74% from the free throw line. Alujabi. He's had such a big night, leading the way for DePaul scoring-wise.
We said at the beginning of the broadcast when DePaul came in here knowing and finding out late that Pons wasn't playing, we talked a little bit about Dave Leto saying probably in his locker room, guys, without Pons there, we have a chance to win this game. With Pons, it's a difficult place to play, and with Pons, it's a difficult place to get a win. But without him on the floor, and it's proven to be true.
Dave Leto said his team has started to believe they are a good team, and I think tonight's victory will help reinforce that, because this is a good win.
Yeah, and to your point just then, this is a nice team effort by a good team.
Absolutely. 79-71. DePaul has defeated number 24 St. John's. Alujabi returns home and leads the way.